Welcome everyone. We'll just wait for everyone to tune in on the Facebook Live and then we'll get started. Hey everyone. G'day Liam. Hey everyone. Hope you've all had a great week. Much easier than previous weeks, that's for sure. As always, comment your thoughts. If you've seen the team already, let me know what you think. Let me know how you think we can approach the Gold Coast Suns tomorrow. It's a massive game for both teams. Both teams, I think, are 3 and 4. Both coming off pretty good wins last week. The Gold Coast have won their last 2. They beat Sydney up there at Metricon and they went to the G and did a job on Collingwood, who have been pretty poor, probably a bottom 14 this year. So it's hard to gauge that win, but one of their best wins in their history at the MCG. So they'll be coming on into this game on a high, just like us though. So might as well get stuck into it, I reckon. The team lineup, there's not really much to talk about here. Both teams have actually gone in unchanged, so that's the big thing. I think they've omitted the sub, so Sexton was Gold Coast sub last week, the emergency, and Mason Wood was the same for us. I couldn't tell you. It looks like it's probably going to be a Tom Highmore or Jack Loney that makes the cut. I'm probably leaning towards more a Highmore. He had a massive game in the VFL last week. He had 30 and had 14 marks in a loss for Sandy. And I can already see a few comments from a few people saying that Joyce is a bit lucky to stick around and Highmore would have been the go. But I think given the tools that Gold Coast possess, now generally the focus is obviously going to be on Ben King. It's the King Cup. Max down one and Ben down the other. But Josh Corbett or Corbet, someone correct me, I don't know how to pronounce his name, it's probably Corbett, knowing me. But he kicked 4 last week. He was very good in the air, he kicked straight, he's a big body. I feel like Joyce could take someone like him, and then you've got someone with Dougal Howard's pace and physicality to go on someone like Ben King and just punch the ball out of bounds non-stop. Dougal Howard's the number 1 spoiler in the comp. Second to first, and then Wiedering second from Carlton. But I feel like that's the better structure than bringing in someone like a Highmore, who's more of an intercept mark backman. So you'd be getting another Caulfield. You'd be playing 2 Caulfields, and I think we probably can't afford to do that this week. I like the structure we're going with. We were very comfortable last week. Joyce, had a good game. I watched the replay and he did some nice things, but he didn't do many things. And I guess that was probably more because our forward half and our midfield pressure was very good last week and the ball didn't get into the areas that would have tested him. Tomorrow it might just be like that, but I see him as just a player that's not fussed. He's not going to do anything crazy. He's not going to play fancy football. He's just going to be honest and he's just going to get the job done. And I think that's what we need right now. We need stability and we need honesty. And last week was the first time this year we got that for 4 quarters. But we need to follow it up this week. And Rats says the same thing. You watch his press conference, he'll say the same thing. We had a good win in round 1 away from home, set up our season. We come back and play Melbourne. We stuff that up. A couple of bad weeks. We respond against West Coast and have a crazy second half and we all think, okay, everything's clicked then. And then follow with another couple of bad weeks. Then we respond and dominate Hawthorn and we show kind of what we've been expecting all season. A 4-quarter performance. We played clean. We played fast. Brad Hill at halfback was amazing. Zach Jones was great in the middle. Brad Crouch. All the players that needed to find form found form. We kicked a big score. We got a lot of percentage back. It was the perfect game. But this is the test now, the response. Tomorrow is the test. Last week was the warm-up. This is the main event. We need to win this game. We're 3 and 4 with a percentage of 80. But there's a log jam. I haven't got the ladder up here, but there's a log jam of teams on 12 points. And if we can break that and just get a win, doesn't matter if the percentage doesn't come yet. We just need to get the 4 points. That puts us up closer to the 8. And then you look at Geelong tonight. They're playing Richmond. We play Geelong next Friday night. I'm not, I don't like hypotheticals, but hypothetically they lose tonight. They're the underdogs. They lose tonight. We win tomorrow. We go into Friday night 4-4, the same as Geelong, 4-4 as well. So it creates a massive scenario next week. But the key thing for me is just play the way we played last week. It's perfect weather tomorrow. It's going to be 25 degrees. I'm going to be there. I'm flying up tomorrow, mid-morning, hopefully get there. The game's 25 minutes earlier for anyone that hasn't caught the news. It was originally at 2:10. It's now 1:45. So make sure you put a reminder in, or you let your friend know that doesn't know. But I'll be landing there. I'll be getting to the hotel, dumping the bags and going straight to Metricon. So can't wait to go and see them there. The weather is going to be perfect for us. We've got probably, the tools to take them on. And this is where I think the difference can be made. The most recent matches against Gold Coast, I believe they've had Witts in ruck, and he's been excellent. He's been close to man on the match in a lot of those games. Last year, I think we just had Paddy Ryder, or we had one ruck. We didn't have both of them playing, and we just snuck over the line by 2 or 3 points or whatever it was. Butler kicked 4, and that was a tough game. That was kind of the start of our downfall. But that's been the case with Gold Coast the last 4 times. The last 4 times I've played them, it's been 4 wins for the Saints, but 4 wins by under a goal each time. So that doesn't mean tomorrow's going to be under a goal. I mean, my best case scenario is we go there, we shock the AFL world, and we go there and get the job done. 2 weeks ago, Carlton went there and won. They've lost games they probably should have won, Gold Coast, and they've won a game or 2 that they probably weren't expected to win in Collingwood last week, and then especially Sydney, who were in really good form when they played them up there a couple of weeks ago. So we're not going to take them lightly. I love that we went up a day early. That's a big thing that we talked about on the podcast on Tuesday night. We talked about make it like it was the hub last year. Like we've played at Metricon many times last year with great success. It feels like a second home right now. This shouldn't feel like an away day. And I love that we've gone the night before, or basically this morning they flew up. So they've had the whole day today to train on Metricon, to get the feel for it, to stay at a hotel in sort of a hub sort of situation like last year and get back into that environment. And last year we were one of the rare teams that actually excelled in that environment. So I'm hoping that with this away trip, it's the same thing. We respond, we play great at Metricon, and we get the big 4 points, because this would really set up our season. Last week, we all didn't get ahead of ourselves. Some Sainers were telling me, let's just put the lid on it. And I wasn't getting ahead of myself. No one is. We know that Hawthorn are up and down this year, and most teams would beat them the way they played last week. But for us, it was more what that win does for the rest of the team and the confidence that it gives to the Hunter Clarks, who was outstanding, to Zach Jones, to Rowan Marshall, Paddy Ryder coming in and knowing that they can impact immediately. Even Joyce playing down back and solidifying a position there. Brad Hill going to half-back flank and getting his form back and being the player that we wanted when we first got him. There's a lot of highlights there. I think that's probably the main positive from last week, and that's something that you can't underestimate going into this week. Training seemed light, everyone was happy, but I think they know that tomorrow's going to be a test, and if we do play the way we played last week and we play fast, a controlled fast, that was the difference between last week and the previous weeks, is we still went fast. We still played on a lot, but it was controlled. There were so many times where when the player wasn't on, and Seb Ross did this a number of times, just giving him a bit of credit here, he would stop, prop, and then go wide. If there was nothing in on the middle, go wide, then cut back in, and we constantly kept trying to go down the middle. Whereas prior to that, we were the number 1 team for going around the boundary. So this was a big change for us, but it worked for the better, and it looked natural. It looked like the Saints from 2020, and that's what Nick Rewalt thought too. So if the Saints of 2020 turn up tomorrow, the Gold Coast Suns are going to have a tough day, and we're going to be in the box seat to get a big win. If the Saints of 2021 from the first 6 rounds turn up, Gold Coast are going to be all over us, and it's going to be a tough day at the office. So I think I'm trusting the boys. I know a lot of us, don't know what Saints are going to turn up, and that's fair enough. I've been like that for years, but I'm backing us. I've got a good feeling about tomorrow, and sometimes you don't. Sometimes you just have a bad feeling about games, but I've got a good feeling about tomorrow. I think that this will be the first time that we win consecutive games for the year, and that would be massive going into a Friday night against Geelong. So I'm pumped for it. I've got a few little fun facts here. I thought it'd be interesting to look at where Gold Coast strengths are in terms of their high rankings and their stats. So I've got them here off footywire.com, which is a pretty handy website for all these sort of things. But they're ranked number 1 for kicks. They're ranked number 1 for marks. So that tells me that not only do they kick a lot, they hit targets. If they're ranked 1 for kick and 1 for mark, their kicks hit the target. Their foot skills, and I read a lot of their, on their big footy boards, their fans were talking about, geez, our kicking's been phenomenal. And I thought maybe they're just talking themselves up like most supporter bases do on big footy. But when you look at the stats, they're hitting more targets than any other team in the comp. So we need to be switched on. We can't give them space because we know based on this, they're going to use the space. They're going to take advantage of it. They move, they run, and they're an honest team too. So it's going to be hard to break down. But if we persist and play 4 quarters of good footy, eventually I think that we can break that damn wall and get a couple of goals in front and hopefully hold out from that point on. They're second for tackles, so that's another thing. They can hold possession, but when they don't have possession, they are chasing and they are tackling. That's a very good sign. The fact that they're number 1 for kicks, marks, and then second for tackles is very impressive. Third for rebound 50s. So those are their main strengths. They've actually got more main strengths than us, and we've had a poor season so far, so it's no surprise that that's the case. But we're number 4 for clearances. In terms of clearances for Gold Coast, where are they ranked? It's not even in their highs or their low ranks. So that tells me that they're not a great clearance side. And like what I said before, I think that's where we can get them. We've got Ryder and we've got Marshall. We've got the 2 best. I think it's the best ruck combination in the competition. They're going with a fairly inexperienced ruck. I think Corbett goes into the ruck a little bit, and then someone called Chris Burgess, who I haven't seen much of. I doubt anyone else has seen much of them, to be honest. They're fairly new. So I think that's where we can get the advantage, even if their midfield is switched on, with Greenwood obviously being in great form. Brandon Ellis is the second highest rated player in the competition behind McRae from the Bulldogs. Statistically, the second highest rated. His average Supercoach score is 110 to 120. And, to put that into perspective, I think Jack Steele's just under 100 average, and he's the best for us. So Ellis is having a great season on the wing. Greenwood, Lockie Weller gives them some pace. And then you've got Took Miller, who's pretty inconsistent, but he played a great game last week, so you just got to assume he's going to play strongly tomorrow. And then you've obviously got Rankin, who's the X Factor, and then, of course, Ben King, Lukosius, and Sam Flanders, and then the maturity of David Swallow. So they've got a very good blend, the Gold Coast. When they're on, they're very hard to beat. Most teams know that. You just hope you don't get them on that day, or at least you don't give them the confidence to get on a roll. And I think the first 20 minutes to the first quarter tomorrow is massive. The Hawthorn game, we kicked the first 5, took the Hawthorn crowd out of it, even though there were more Saints. And that created momentum that Hawthorn couldn't overturn. We just got on a roll and we got better and better as the game went on. Tomorrow is the same, especially away from home, especially with a hostile crowd. I know that a lot of Sainers are going to be there. A lot of you guys have messaged me saying you're going to be at the game. You're travelling over, which is amazing. We always get good representation on the Gold Coast, and I feel like we probably made a lot of fans last year late when supporters could go and watch us. But the key thing is the first quarter, take them out of the game. Take the crowd out of the game, get it on our terms, make Gold Coast chase us. We do not want to be chasing Gold Coast when they're up and about. They're a very good running team, and they're a momentum team just like us. They get on a roll, it's going to be very hard to beat. So those are the key strengths, guys. I think, in terms of the ladder, we're 14th, and they are 10th. So if they win this, they go into the 8, potentially. If we win, we will jump probably, I think, only one spot. Oh, actually, no, we'll jump to probably 10th. But then if those teams below us win, then obviously we'll drop down as well. I might go through some comments now. I'll keep it quick because there's a massive game on tonight, Geelong and Richmond. So we'll go through some of your comments. Keep them coming. Let me know if you think anyone's stiff for not coming in, apart from Highmore, because I know a lot of people wanted to see him play, or you're happy with the lineup. I, for one, am pretty happy with the lineup. I don't think there's any issue with rewarding the first 4-quarter performance that we've put out all season. I think it's really important to send a message to the players that you delivered what we asked of you last week, and because of that, you all get to play again next week, but make sure you back it up. That's the key, and I think that's the challenge when you come off such a good win last week, such a perfect win, you know, no injuries, big win, everyone hit form, there wasn't a bad player on the ground. The key thing is to show consistency. And I mean, I hate using that word because it just comes up weekly when you're a Saint. Where the hell is the consistency? You know, we talk about that all the time. For me, if we win tomorrow, that's two wins in a row. That shows consistency. If we don't, then it's the same old where we're good for 1 week, we're down for the next, good for the 1 week, down for the next. We don't want that. To be a top team, you need consistency and you need, you know, all your players playing well together. All right, let's go through some of these comments. So this one's from Melita Go Saints. Mark says, very, very fast last week. I noticed a lot of running support wherever there was a mark. Also, the forward handballs paid big. We just need to run. It's a really good comment there. I agree with that, spot on. When we took the mark, I think in previous weeks, we probably take the mark and that one player with the ball actually goes. And that puts everyone off because this player's not leading. Everyone's kind of not set yet in their positions and it just throws the team chemistry off. When we went fast last week, it was a different type of fast. We took the mark, but it was players running both sides past. That was where the pace came from. It wasn't from the man that actually had the ball. It was from everyone else around him. That's the difference. That's how you move the ball faster. You don't move it by your feet. You move it by handballing and by kicking to options. More than not, last week, we had a player run left, and when that player wasn't rewarded, he kept running into space for a chip kick. Even if it was just 15 metres, it was to progress the ball a whole possession, or another player was running on the right. So if they don't go there, they go, yeah, bang. That player goes, and then there's space everywhere because players are moving. Players wanted the ball, but also they were leading to spots where they knew they weren't going to get the ball, which meant it opened up parts of the ground. You know, you'd see Membry go wide, King go wide, and then you'd see someone clever and no one really spotted this last week, or maybe you did, but the commentators didn't really talk about it much, was Brad Crouch. He always snuck he basically was in the center circle. And if no one was around him, he was the go-to guy every time. He'd get the ball in the middle, and then we had Webster or Hill running past off half-back flank. And you can afford to do it when the ball's there, because if you turn it over there, and your defense, you know, Dougal Howard stays back and Joyce stays back, you're probably safe to have your half-back flanks run forward because they're not going to be exposed on the break because you've got that wall. And we did that really well last week. So it's going to be interesting to see if we can afford to do that tomorrow as much as we did last week, because no offense to Hawthorn, but Gold Coast have probably got more firepower to hurt if you turn the ball over. We turned it over a couple of times last week and Hawthorn weren't able to respond and hurt us, but you think Gold Coast probably will. But I hope that we persist with the Brad Hill at half-back. I want, you know, for him to put into someone like a Rankin or just even another player that they like in the forward line, to put in their mind that, you know, they need to be accountable, because Brad Hill, if he runs off you and he gets the ball, we're scoring down the other way if he plays like he did last week. So instead of a defender going on someone like a Rankin or another forward that they've got, you know, a defender to me just sends the message to the forward, well, I can just play my game because the defender's just worrying about me. But if it's Brad Hill who doesn't worry about them, they've got that, you know, they're in two minds. Like, do I run off Brad Hill and try and get the ball and expose him? But if I run off him and he has a really good game, then he could single-handedly put St Kilda in a very good position today. So do I chase him and sacrifice my attacking game? So I think that sends, you know, mixed messages to the opposition, and that's what I liked about the move. It didn't really need to happen last week against a team like Hawthorn, but I think with teams that have a bit more power in the forward line, I think it's still worth persisting with, just to send the message that you need to chase us. We're not chasing you. We're not worried about you. You need to chase Brad Hill, because if you don't, he's going to get 27 and he's going to set up 10 scoring chains, and we're going to win the game because you didn't bother chasing your man. So I like that. It's an attacking from the back, and a lot of good teams do it. The Bulldogs do it very well. They did it with Johannesson when they won their premiership. Richmond do it very well, more with, instead of an individual player, they do it with the running players like Short and Hooley, Floston, all these guys that run forward with the ball. But they always know that when they do run forward, that if they turn the ball over, they've got players like Grimes, Bolter, they're all sitting back and supporting as like a goalkeeper sort of positioning. So hopefully we go with that tomorrow. I'm excited to see if we persist with it. He seemed to enjoy it, the boys seemed to enjoy it, and we could rotate him, Sinclair and Webster in that sort of, you know, slingshot of halfback sort of position. That was a long answer. Greg says, got to keep using Hill. Amazing what happens when you give your best field kick the ball. Agreed. And I think it was easier because he was at half back and we weren't looking to... He wasn't leading up at the ball. He was running past and he wants handball received. Hill's not a player that wants to lead up at the ball, get it and go. He's a handball receive player. So I think having him at half back creates more handball receives. Mitchell says, to play finals, we need to win 5 of the next 6 at least. Gold Coast, Geelong, Dogs, North, Swans and Adelaide. Yeah, they're all big games. I think the hardest one out of the bunch there's probably the Dogs, or even maybe tomorrow. I think Geelong is hard to get a read on. We'll see tonight how they go. But then you've got Swans at home, Adelaide at home, North at home. That's a big stretch. But even the Dogs game, it's away, but it's at Marvel. So after today, we've got the next 4 or 5 at Marvel Stadium, which is huge for us. So we can create a fortress there and get on a roll. A lot of teams are going to be worried about playing us in the second half of the year. Raphael says, can't wait to go to the game. Been waiting all year. Tom says, see it, Metricon tomorrow's mate. Hopefully a win. Hopefully a lot of Sainers are vocal tomorrow and we're chanting and singing along. I went to the GWS game in Sydney in round 1 and that was next level away support. That was so loud. Not so much in the Port game because it was just done from quarter time and Port are just very loud themselves. So it was very hard to get any sort of away chants or support going. But hopefully tomorrow at Metricon we'll get a lot of red, white and black at the ground. Peter says last 5 to 6 games between these teams. Saints won by less than 1 goal. Yep, it's been tight. Luke says, hope Marshy's right about Billings. He loves playing the Gold Coast. Yep, and he had an underrated game last week. He had 31 or 32. I think he probably didn't get the attention that he usually does because there was a lot more even spread. But yeah, I think he generally does like playing against the Gold Coast. So hopefully he has another big game in terms of touches, but he also hits the scoreboard as well. Need consecutive wins. It's from Martine. Peter says, where are you staying on the Gold Coast? Just staying up around Carrara, just close to the ground. That's the main focus of really going up. Might go down to Surfers Paradise as everyone does and hit up the restaurants and the beach along there maybe on the Sunday to celebrate the win. If we don't, I'll be ordering some breakfast in bed and having champagne at 11 a.m. just to sink the sorrows. Not really. Thomas says, I'd like to read on Sunday the headline that says the week the Saints knuckled down. Christina says, hello. G'day, Christina. Marcus says, are you satisfied? Hawks aren't the best. I'm not satisfied. Last week was satisfying, but I'm not satisfied. That's not good enough. We need to be doing it every week, and we need to do it against good teams. I rate Gold Coast. I think they're very good at Metricon. They're a bit iffy away from home, but they've already, they've gotten over that after last week's win at the MCG. If they bring their best, they're easily a top 8 side. If they don't, that's not our fault. We just got to beat who's in front of us. We did that last week, and we did it comprehensively. We need to do that more, to be honest. We should have smashed Essendon the way we smashed Hawthorn. We should have beaten, who was the other team? Melbourne, we probably should have beaten. But they've gone on a roll since, so it's hard to gauge how good they're going to be. But Essendon's the one that really hurts. We should really be going into this game 4-3, but we're not. And we're in the situation we are. Alan says, Highmore looks the goods. When he gets his chance, will be one to look forward to. Yep, and I dare say when he gets his chance, he's not going to be dropped straight away. It was a bit harsh the first couple of weeks, but after last week, I don't think you want to change a winning formula, especially because he's not a like-for-like. He's a very different player to Joyce, and Joyce would be the only logical out. Otherwise, it would make sense. If Caulfield was sick or Caulfield was suddenly injured, that's when Highmore comes in. But you wouldn't bring in Highmore based on what the Suns have got in the forward line and how well the back line looked last week. I need to back it up. That's from Peter. Gary says, hopefully Tigers get the Cats up for us. That would be nice. That would be nice if they smash the Cats. Dusty's back, so if he can kick 4 like he did in the grand final last year against them, that'd be very nice. Scott says, I hope we smack the Suns. 2 good wins on the trot would build the confidence. Yeah, last week was a good confidence booster, but it'd be very different going away from home and playing a good team in form like the Gold Coast and winning there. That's where belief really starts kicking in. How aren't we favourites to win? I think it's because it's at Metricon. I genuinely think that. I think a lot of people, and it was a good win. They beat Collingwood last week at the MCG, but I think they're focusing too much on the MCG factor. I watched the highlights of that game a couple of days ago, just out of curiosity to see, was it Gold Coast being really good or was it Collingwood being really bad? And Collingwood was shocking. And they were only about 14 down mid into the fourth, and then Gold Coast got away late. So I think probably the win's not as good as what the media have pumped it up to be, but I know that Gold Coast are the new, part of the new teams, and it's good to give them some publicity when they beat a big team like Collingwood with a big membership base, especially at the MCG in front of their home crowd. But when I watched the Hawthorn highlights, I thought that Collingwood would have lost to Hawthorn. That's how bad Collingwood were last week. Collingwood would have lost to Hawthorn. Hawthorn to me showed more than what they did, and that says a lot. So I think it's probably a 50-50 game, or if not, we're just favourites. But the fact that it's at Metricon and the media talk about Gold Coast from last week, I think that's probably tipped people to put a bit of money onto the Gold Coast Suns. Hopefully they lose that money too. King kicks straight, we win. Max King, by the way. Yep, that's from Joe. Go the lads, that's from Tim. Paddy lifts team spirits. It's so good to have him back. He was so good last week with his ruck work. His tap work is sublime. It's the best in the comp. And the fact that we can have King, Marshall, Membry, even Battle there, rotating with Paddy Ryder going forward, that's where I think we can get them. I think the difference will be the talls. I think if Ben King doesn't have a massive day tomorrow, they're going to rely too much on talls that aren't generally the focus and aren't the most reliable talls. They'll have their games for sure, like last week, but I don't think they're in that bracket where they're like a Marshall, a Membry, where you know what you're going to get most weeks from these guys. And I think if we can have Ryder dominate the ruck like he did last week, and that means Zach Jones, Steele, Crouch, Hunter Clark is in the middle, gets the ball, and Brad Hill's getting it off half back, and we're going into the 50 fast and one-on-one with our smalls back in form too. That's where I think the difference will be, and that's why I'm tipping us. I'm going to go Saints. I don't usually do this on my preview, so this is going to... I know that if we lose, Gold Coast Sun supporters are going to hop on my page and hop on YouTube and talk shit, but that's the way it is with tipping. I'm going to back us, and I'm going to go Saints by 22. That's what I'm going with. I'm going to leave it there, guys. That's my tip. Appreciate you guys watching. I'll leave you to your Friday nights, and you can go out and have some dinner and watch the Cats get done by the Tigers, hopefully. And then prep for a big game tomorrow. Remember, 1:45 start, not 2:10 like originally scheduled. And I'll be flying up there early tomorrow morning and hopefully get to the game. I'll definitely get to the game and cheer on the boys. So can't wait for that. Beautiful weather, unchanged lineup. We're coming off the back of a good win. Let's follow it up with another win tomorrow, boys. Let's do it for the Sainers that are travelling and the Sainers that are in Queensland ready to watch the boys. And obviously everyone at home as well. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. This will be up on YouTube. If you want to watch the replay, if you didn't get to watch the start of this, and some people tune in towards the end, it'll be on YouTube. And obviously the Saints TV podcast came out on Tuesday night with myself, Joycey and Marshy. Feel free to watch or listen to the preview of the game on that as well. Till tomorrow, guys. Hopefully I'll jump on and do a nice review on the Gold Coast. But until then, go you mighty Sainers.